Hello, welcome back, guys, to another episode. We have two title fight shows this episode to run through. First being Gorshin defending his lightweight title, his second defense too. After, of course, he beat Yamamoto to win it, and then he beat Francisco Marazina on his last fight. And he's got another unbeaten fighter who is initially a featherweight, just like Marazina. It's Lars Bolin, who's 5-0 with us, 8-0 in general. Third best lightweight in the world. He's very much a guy who loves to clinch. He's a wall install. He's pretty boring. He's not known for finishing his fights either. He's not the most exciting guy in the world. So it'll prove for an interesting bout. But he won his title shot after beating Go Yamamoto also. The only two guys in the game in the lightweight class to beat Go Yamamoto. And now they both face each other. So it'll be an interesting one, hopefully, in terms of bringing the belt forward. Gorshin wins, but Lars has a very good chance, a much better chance of beating Gorshin than Marazina did on the last defense for Gorshin. But we also have Milkovic, who's 3-2. He's up against Zako. Zako's been doing very good since returning from his suspension. I'm sure this fight will put him on 3-0 since his return if he gets the job done. And then speaking of Go Yamamoto, he's back in action after losing to Lars. And he's got Alvaro Negredo, who he should beat. Two guys that are good at striking. Negredo is still unbeaten at 4-0, but he's not really, apart from maybe his win against Gage, he's kind of lucky in a sense to be this far. But if he somehow beat Yamamoto, it would be huge. But I think it could be a good momentum finish win for Yamamoto to boost him back up. Then we got Christopher Sharp, who's a national caliber wrestler, 3-0 against world caliber wrestler Akihida, who's also 3-0. That'll be a very good fight. Battle of two amazing wrestlers. Then we got Joe Hinchcliffe, 4-1, looking to boost into welterweight, into the title scene. He's been doing pretty decent. His only loss coming to Walter May, and he's up against Kitahara, who went 3-0 last year, but so far this year he's lost his only two fights. Keeping in mind it's been fairly decent opponents, especially Zapatov. Maybe he could have done better against Perishida, but he's got another really hard fight in Joe Hinchcliffe to win. Then we got Sakata, who is a pretty good stand-up guy, very good Muay Thai fighter with no real takedown defense, which is his downfall. And he's up against a debuting Wasco, who's also initially, he's a bantamweight, but he can at a push fight lightweight, so he comes in at 6-0 Russian, and he is good. He's a national caliber sambo fighter, so he hopefully is a good addition to lightweight. But he might be a little bit smaller than some of the guys, so it'll be interesting to see how he does, because it's almost quite a big transition for the featherweight guys, never mind bantamweight. But Wasco's a good fighter, and he's only 19, so he'll hopefully add something good in. Then we've, fingers crossed, gave Nigel Malley a pretty easy win. We've also gave Robin Yamazaki a pretty easy win, and the same with Brinkley. And then we have Claudio Placios, who makes his debut at welterweight, who is another very good addition. He's pretty well rounded too. If he can get in a team pretty early on, he will probably turn out very good. He's lacking his chin a little bit already, but like we did get the likes of Lucas in welterweight, and then he got suspended. So it's kind of nice that we can add guys like Placios in to sort of spice up the division a little bit. Okay, here we go. There's not really too much to run over. We got freestyle wrestler Gorshin 7-0 against 8-0 Lars Bolin. We obviously know Lars can be a bit boring. Not the most exciting guy to watch, so it's almost a risk in itself giving him this kind of chance, and he could be holding the lightweight division hostage in a sense. But slight favourite Gorshin, the champ, hopefully gets the job done. He did beat Marazina with very good ease, and Marazina was on a very good roll, so who knows how this will go. But if he wins this, I believe he'll be the first ever fighter to defend his belt twice as well. Okay, let's see who won the round. I think we might have a new champion here. Gorshin definitely won the first round, and arguably he could have won the second, because as much as Lars dominated them and controlled them a lot more, he didn't really do any significant damage. But as soon as Lars in the third round landed his first successful takedown, I kind of knew it was all over for Gorshin. But we kind of seen the effects, what I was talking about. Bolland's very much, he just grabs a lot, he'll push up against the cage, control you. Which is, I mean, in a sense, it deserves respect, because it's, as much as it's much more boring to watch and run through, it still takes a lot of skill to be able to control someone and successfully take them down. Okay, they've also, yeah, it's going to be, so 3 rounds to 2, which I said it would be the first 2 rounds. He gave it to Gorshin, and 4 rounds to 1 on those 2, which is the first round to Gorshin. When he cut Lars open too, it's got to be Lars. Yup, unanimous decision. He goes to 9-0, 24 years old. He becomes our second ever lightweight champ. Only a decent rated fight, which as long as he's the champ, we're probably going to be expecting not the best rated fights. But he's beaten a lot of guys, made it this far. He deserved a title shot. He gets the job done, so we can't have any complaints. He intends to have a very long reign. If Go Yamamoto keeps up his good work, it could honestly be him in a rematch against Lars. Because, I'm saying this, because Go Yamamoto won his fight, and he called out Lars Bowen, saying that he can't beat me, which is kind of awkward because he already has beat you. But, interesting call out, because Yamamoto is still sitting around top spots, or it could even be a rematch with Gorshin. First, who knows? I'm not really sure. We'll see. But Zako also won to keep his reign going since returning. We obviously know Bolin won. Akihida, he also beat Christopher Sharp by unanimous decision in a pretty decent fight. And then he recalled out Tim Boyer, basically adding fire to the already ongoing challenge. Joe Hinchcliffe stays unbeaten by beating Kitahara, which now means Kitahara is probably getting cut. He doesn't have very poor momentum though, but he has 3 losses in a row, so I'm not sure. We'll see. We'll maybe give him one more fight, because we do have guys that has been 3-3, even though it's not been 3 losses in a row, so we'll keep him. But if he loses one more, he's probably getting cut. Wasco also won his debut in the first round. Nigel Malley gets back on winning ways, and so does Robin. But Brinkley, who was 2-0, we tried to give him an easy fight. He got knocked out near the end of the first round to suffer the first loss of his career. Satch comes in clutch and beats him after losing to Jeff Carlin. To be fair, the guys that Satch has beat, or lost to, KKK and Jeff Carlin, are not. They're like the best guys in heavyweight, 2 of the best, so it's a good win for the 19-year-old. And then Claudio, 1 minute into his debut, picks up the win with a 67 commercial. So just shy of that high-level national. We are on SportsTube trying to take that pop. So we should take a lot of money. No one in this card really makes a lot. Maybe Akihida, he'll take, I think, about 9k. Or is it 9k base pay? Nice, 2% on popularity. I think it's going up more because of the attendance and not so much our commercial. But that's huge. That's the most pop we've took off a show. And the next title fight on the card to end the episode is also on SportsTube, so hopefully we take another 2%. That's just over 4%, probably about 4.2 over 2 shows, which is huge. We'll really, really be on course to hit a low-level national before the end of the year. But Robin can take... Should we give him submission? No, we'll give Zako submission. Milkovic is a much harder opponent. And we'll give knockout to Abdullah, since he was the huge underdog against Brinkley and he got the job done. And we'll give fight of the night to... Let's give it to Wasco, because Sakat is a pretty good stand-up striker too. So not bad. Yeah, Akida, I only take 6. Maybe we renegotiated with him. Yamamoto also takes 6. We only paid 45k to the fighters. They're huge. We didn't really take a lot of money, but we're on course to definitely hit low-level national this year, but I don't know if we'll have enough money to make the enormous advertising broadcaster yet. I think we need about 8 million. So I'm not sure. It's unlikely, but we'll see. Alright, here we go. Second in the last show of the episode. And it's about time. It is Edalberto who won the belt back in December. He's the last guy also to defend his belt. It's way overdue because Sigma have been booking him. Sigma initially booked him against Mark Cohn, which he was going to fight round about that time in April against Mark, and Mark beat him. So it would have been crazy to think Mark Cohn could be the champ right now, but because he got booked in to fight Mark, I didn't want to book him in against Mark, and I also didn't want to give Mark obviously the chance to then fight for the belt. So it got put on hold, and as I was flicking through the rankings, so Mark got taken out, someone else, George couldn't fight again because he still hadn't been booked up, and next guy in line is arguably the best guy in the whole roster. So Edalberto's done it to himself. He's not going to successfully defend his belt because he's been stalling. He's been cheating on his. He's been having an affair with another promotion. So World Caliber Jiu-Jitsu Kimura Master Yamada comes in. The 22-year-old, the Dragon. He's 5-0 with us. Definitely deserves it. Second best light heavyweight in the world, 5th pound for pound. Best fighter in the world too. He's finished all of his opponents, all but one fight in the first round too. The guy is a machine. He's a machine. The guy's just a machine. He's also affiliated with Cardiff Academy. One of the two teams based in Wales, is known for its close bonds between fighters and covers a range of skills, most known for great cardio and mental training. So an interesting one. We got this is actually 4 amazing fighters in this gym too. So this will be a good one. Where Yamada will be the huge favourite. We also changed a lot of our shows back from SportsTube to Euro Sports Cable because I'm realising I'm way ahead on my deadline of hitting low-level national by the end of the year, but I'm way behind on hitting 8 million by the end of the year because I kind of want to have it set perfect where we hit low-level national, and as soon as we hit low-level national I can start the minor shows and I can book them on our enormous advertising broadcaster that we own. But I need $8 million to do that, and I don't have $8 million, nowhere near. So we're back on Eurosports Cable, especially for our title fights or our high-level national plus main event draws. But then we got Tony McCall, who's actually on a 2-fight losing streak, one of which he lost at Sigma, and in his last fight, of course, against Fezzik, he lost his belt. And he's got Ari Peltrin, who's not bad. He's good. Even though these guys have lost their last fights, he's on a 2-fight losing streak. 2 very, very good guys he's lost to though. So this will be a real contention to see what one of them can hang in the top 5. Sort of top 5, top 10. It's a bit harsh to book Ari like this because he could lose 3 fights in a row, but we won't cut him because he is good and he'll win again. Especially against the guys outside the top 10 in heavyweight. He'll smash them all. Then we got the veteran Mantis up against Ezra Thorson, who comes in low-level national, world caliber wrestler, makes his debut. 18 years old, we'll see how well he can do. Then we got Geoff Cahill, who's I think he's on a bit of a streak, 3 fight wins in a row. One of them being against Matthew, sponsored by Monster Bell. So that'll be an interesting one. He's up against Dragos, who won his last 2 fights too, after losing his debut. So another good one. Then we got another veteran, Kuroki, up against Richard Smith. Not really too fussed who wins that. Then Marisuva, who's still unbeaten, having a pretty good year. And he's up against Ito, who's also doing decent. He also was signed by Sigma and lost one of his fights, but his only real loss here came against George Laurent, who went on to be the champ. So, pretty solid. He's actually not good on paper, but he's just doing very good. I think it's his headhunter traits coming in clutch for him. Edward Zan makes his debut, but he sucks. He's basically a stepping stone. I don't know how you guys run your promotions, but I have these I call them stepping stones, and it's basically guys that come in with fresh records or like already have a bit of momentum and a bit of name value. And even though they suck, I bring them in to boost up my guys that's kind of outside the top 25 rankings, guys who are debuting that I know will make the top 10, or maybe guys that have good marketability and I know I can push really hard and really far before they pass the sort of torch on to someone even better. These are the stepping stones, I call them. And Edward Zan's a pretty amazing example of that. Obviously, there's a risk because just guys who you bring in stepping stones can win, but arguably they don't. And if they do, it's usually maybe one fight before they get cut. But I don't see him winning against Chekhov. Punches and bunches, loves to strikes, my kind of guy. His only downfall is he's not very marketable, but started his debut very well, meaning to go on with another win. George Hormazabal. He makes his debut too. But black belt in Jiu-Jitsu, armbar master. We'll see how he does. He's up against Lemoyne, who's also making his debut, high-level submission wrestler. And then we also got Fragoso, who if he loses, he'll get cut. And he's up against Truck, who to my surprise lost against the bare knuckle fighter from Switzerland on his debut. If Truck loses this, I'm going to lose my mind, because he should not be 0-2. Especially when arguably at the start of your career, you're getting booked up against the easiest guys you possibly can. It's supposed to get harder as you keep winning. So if this is the lowest of the low for Truck and he can't even beat them, I'm going to start having a panic attack. We also got 1-1-1. Probably the only guy I've ever had to be all even. One draw, 1 win, 1 loss. And Taguchi. He's not even that good, to be honest. I think we booked him in to lose against Tyrone. Yeah, we'll see. Let's go straight to the title fight and then we'll run over the card a little bit. Alright, here we go. Let's be honest, Edalberto went away and he cheated on us with another woman. So he deserves this. He deserves it. He's arguably, for anyone in his position, it's the hardest light heavyweight title defense you can have against arguably the best. But 6-0 Yamada against 7-1 Edalberto. Let's just start the show and see if Yamada can get another first round finish to add to the already huge list. 5 out of his 6 fights, first round finish. Will he make it 6? Well, yeah, great rated fight actually, which is nice. It's probably the biggest one-sided fight on the betting lines we've ever had. In terms of title main events, I think that was like 8 or 9 attempts before he finally submitted him. Yeah, 8. And Alberto was doing a pretty good job of defending against him, but Yamada's just too good. He's just 2 steps ahead all the time of Alberto, regardless if they're standing up or on the ground. Alberto couldn't really amass any real dangers, which is kind of crazy as well to think Yamada's not even lost a round. He's like not even close to losing any rounds in any of his fights yet, never mind the actual fight. So it's a similar situation to Hassan Fezzik in heavyweight. It's going to be interesting to see how long both of these guys can craft their legacy in a sense and keep the belts. Yeah, he celebrates being new champion and warns that he is intending to have a very long reign. Now, when he shot in for the first takedown, I was a little worried when Edalberto defended against it so well, because this card probably had the most wins of underdogs I've ever saw. I believe 7 out of the 9 fights, excluding the main event, went in favour of the underdog. So Tony McCall won against Ari to get back on winning ways, but he was the underdog. Mantis was the underdog against Ezra, and he beat Ezra, handing him his first loss of his career in a split decision. The reason it was a split decision, Ezra would have won if he could manage to take Mantis down, but Mantis defended against all his takedowns, which was the deciding point. Dragos, he won against Geoff, which was a good win for him to get back to back. Some technical submission too. We had the old veteran, Kuroki, also winning like Mantis did, and he was the underdog to beat Richard. We had Ito win, a huge win against unbeaten Maruseva. He was the underdog. Chekhov was the favourite, obviously. He won. He's with the eat against Edward. Knockout kick to get his second win of his career. Chuck Gleason also won. He was the favourite. Tyrone Cuthill won. I believe that was at evens, their fight. And Lemoyne also beat George on his debut, and he was the underdog. So it's pretty weird when you think about it in that sense. I believe Truck called out, he called out Sean Morrison, and I believe someone else called out Sean Morrison too. No, they didn't. It was only a lightweight fight. Everyone seems to be calling out Sean. He's going to come back from the Olympics, and oh my god, there's going to be about 5 nuclear fights for him to run through. So we don't take much pop because we should hopefully take quite a nice chunk of money to build up. We needed to make about another 3.5 million before the end of the year, which who knows? We'll see if we can make it happen. But since it was one of the only greats, in fact, we had quite a few greats, should we spread it out? We'll give him fight of the night, and we'll give submission of the night to... I would have liked to give it to Dragos for that technical submission. In fact, no, we'll give it submission to Yamada, and fight of the night can go to... let's give it to Ito, since he beat an unbeaten Maruseva, and he was the big underdog. And Chekhov can take KO with his knockout kick as well. Pretty decent card all round. Yes, perfect. We take over 500,000, which is just what we want. If we keep that up, we'll definitely hit about 8 million before the end of the year. And then we should hopefully, on our minor cards, take a lot more pop for our fighters, because the fighters on the minor shows are going to be, there's going to be like prelims and stuff set out. It's going to be a lot more structured then, guys, when we hit national. So all the guys debuting will be on the minor cards. There'll only really be a good main event and maybe co-main, and then that's it. The rest of the card will be like guys who we're trying to get rid of, guys that we're using as stepping stones, guys that are too new and don't have enough name value yet, just to boost them up. You know how it is, just the way it is in real life, I guess. But until next time, hope you guys enjoyed. The videos are a bit slimmer now, there's not as many episodes, we're not really running through everything, just so we can kind of smoothly get through the save a bit more. And so I can play a bit more in advance too, but we'll see. It means when we do less shows, we can kind of go in depth a little bit more, because we're only really running through the main events or just the actual card itself. But until next time, peace out, guys. Bye, bye, bye. See ya. Bye, bye. Okay, bye.